Harrison coming to you from the Santa Clara Convention Center at Cloud Expo, and I am joined now by Jason Talley, CEO of Nuvio. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So it's pretty interesting. Nuvio is moving from traditional hosted voice over IP services, and you guys are now moving into the infrastructure or cloud infrastructure space. So tell us about that.
Well, so we've been providing managed hosted VoIP solutions since 2003, and we've seen a strong demand come from medium-sized to large enterprises that are looking for voice solutions, but they want their cloud operators to be able to provide those to them. So we've taken a lot of the technology that we developed in-house, and we've kind of bundled that up, and we're now selling components of that to cloud operators so that they can sell voice services to their customers. So it's kind of a natural progression for the cloud operators to be able to offer these services because they're already outsourcing or handling the outsourcing of infrastructure products for these enterprises. Mm-hmm. Voice is kind of the next the next area for them to be able to outsource or handle. We often say if somebody's willing to outsource database servers and Oracle servers or even some of the more mundane file serving applications, forklifting their PBX and giving it to their cloud operator is kind of an easy decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we were talking earlier about that Nuvio is seeing a lot of traction in terms of medium-sized businesses, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think the economic downturn that we went through several years ago contracted a lot of people's operational budgets more than just dollars and cents from people. I mean, they were
Absolutely.
resource constrained, and they're now looking at growth again, or at least they're having to make some upgrades to their current infrastructure, and rather than add people, which is not as easy to do as they would like, it's easier to shift some of that burden to cloud operators. So they're moving a lot of their infrastructure services to somebody else's plate to take care of. They want to be able to run the applications, but they don't want to manage the iron. So they're using private cloud operators to kind of take the place of maybe some of the engineers or technicians that they would have had before. Mm-hmm. And it's a much easier value proposition for them to make today than it was 2 or 3 years ago when they had this much larger staff that they were having to justify.
Right. Okay. Also, pretty significant, exciting news that you guys have announced today. You're launching a new product. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we announced today that we're launching Nuvio IQ, which is our first cloud infrastructure product. We're really excited about it because it's a product that's going to allow cloud operators, specifically private cloud operators, to be able to sell voice services to their customers. And it's not like a traditional telephony soft switch or something that was perhaps made by a BroadSoft or a Metaswitch or a Cisco, which required you to place this large piece of equipment and build all of these ancillary systems around it. This is a turnkey solution for cloud operators that they can deploy rapidly and be able to provide voice services to their customers in a matter of days. We are kind of making a hybrid solution. So not only are we offering them hardware to be able to keep their customers' traffic local to their data center, but we're also offering them all of the logistical support that it's really necessary for voice services. It's not just software that's running somewhere. It's all of the interactions with the legacy carrier network, all of the regulatory constraints, all of the number porting and number assignment issues, as well as device provisioning issues. All of these kind of nasty gotchas that are in the voice space. We're handling all of those for our cloud computing operators so that they're able to sell their service and manage their customer relationships instead of having to worry about building this huge voice network to be able to support their enterprises.
Okay, great. And what does Nuvio see as driving adoption? And are there still obstacles, concerns from enterprises about security and compliance when it comes to cloud?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are just starting to see the tip of the iceberg here for adoption, especially in the medium-sized enterprise marketplace. They're just becoming comfortable with this idea of outsourcing their infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And so that certainly presents opportunities and also some roadblocks for us. The companies that are starting to lead the charge, once they get their first taste of cloud, they love it. It's great. All of a sudden, a lot of the things that kept them up at night are not keeping them up at night. So we think that's those success stories are starting to be passed around, and so that's certainly
Definitely.
helping out the operators. Second thing is the technology is really maturing. I mean, all the way from technology services like what we provide to cloud operators to some of the other infrastructure products that they might use from VMware and some of the other virtualization components that they put in place. So, you know, we've got this great kind of perfect storm of technology that's ready and customers that are ready, and now it's just making sure that when we bring those customers on, that their expectations are such that we meet them every time.
Do you, looking ahead into 2011, just before we wrap up, do you see standards happening anytime soon?
Well, I mean, standards are kind of an interesting beast because for one person, you know, outsourcing to the cloud is different than what somebody else might have.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we look at, you know, what do you really need to be, you know, to be standards based? I think the things that we're going to see some type of standards based around are going to be security issues. And we see that starting to come into play in the medical field with HIPAA standards and some of the others.
Right.
But, you know, we're really talking about, you know, private versus public.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as I'm sure all of your listeners know, you know, the Google Microsoft issue that's been going on recently about
Sure.
outsourcing, you know, Office applications and email functionality. That's where you can use some standards. Is, you know, you can't be comparing apples to oranges all of the time and have the
Mm-hmm.
same conclusion it's made. So if we can kind of all be on the same field, then I think some standards will take place. But then again, as soon as we develop the standards, there'll be a new application that comes out that will totally rewrite the book. So.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I've been speaking with Jason Talley, CEO of Nuvio. I'm Erin Harrison, coming to you from Cloud Expo in Santa Clara, California.